morning out there as you join us on our newspaper review this morning on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. My name is Lawrence Umwaiti. Welcome to the show. As usual, we will be taking a trip around the pages of the papers across the country today, and later on in the second half of the program, we will look at some of the stories in details. We start off from the Guardian newspaper. The latest story here says Tinubu's foreign missions, how Nigeria's internal crisis narrow foreign policy, international repute. And from that we move on to NNPC, that reps decry NNPC Dangote price secrecy. The House of Rep wants marketers to lift fuel from refinery. Experts warn of looming crisis as 4 trillion naira yearly wage bill sparks debt fears. And still on the oil sector, stolen crude, IOC's indebtedness to FG hits $7 billion. And oil and gas companies owe Nigeria $6 billion. This is according to NAITI. And courts reject APC's prayer to stop Kano Council poll. And Zamfara confirms killing of 2 hoodlums as defense probes banditry sponsorship claims. Group lauds Shetima for highlighting Gaza crisis at UN summit. All right, UIVC assures opening distance e-learning admission seekers of same certificate equal rights as on-campus students. Senate approves Southwest Development Commission bill for 3rd reading. And Lagos graduates 500 students from skill acquisition program. FG to toll Lagos Ibadan Expressway, 2nd Niger Bridge and others. This is according to Dave Umahi, who is the Minister of Works. Navy deploys warship helicopters to check maritime crimes. Niger Delta women seek inclusion in PIA implementation. And Delta to prosecute medical personnel providing contraceptive pills to underage girls. And Edo Guba, INEC presents certificate of return to Monde Pueblo. All right, we move on to the Tribune newspaper now, and 6 years after of a bank robbery, suspect sentenced to death by hanging. And the federal government begins payment of new minimum wage to civil servants. INEC presents certificates of return to Edo Governor-elect Okpebolo and his deputy. The Punch newspaper is next now, and leads with the labor story. 70,000 minimum wage. 70,000 naira minimum wage. Federal government begins payment. Salaries rise to 4 trillion naira. Nigeria to slash food import, boost agricultural self-sufficiency. Petrol landing cost drops to 981 naira per litre. Why my government suspended Sanusi? This is according to Goodluck Jonathan. And Afenifere demands restructuring as Senate okays Southwest Development Commission. Federal government probing bandit sponsors. This is according to the Defense Headquarters. All right, we move on to the Sun newspaper. Nigeria urges collaboration on Naji urges collaboration on innovation and sustainable growth. Tinubu's plan to rejig cabinet excites ex-agitator. Why marketers can't purchase petrol from Dangote refinery. And federal government cushioning effects of reform, says ministers. Amcon, that company chief cleared of Amcon's 168 million naira indebtedness. All right, we move on to Daily Trust, and it lays with the flood story. Families displaced as flood sacks 82 communities in Niger State. And still staying with Daily Trust, Tinubu orders low-key 64th independence celebration. And EIA and ICPC partner to tackle environmental crimes. We are not Igbo, Ikwere ethnic group insists. Families displaced as flood sacks 82 communities in Niger State. Yes, we saw that earlier. And Tinubu's policies addressing past missteps. This is according to the federal government. My boss, Sanusi hails Jonathan as they meet in Abuja. Nigeria did not lose $49.8 billion under my watch. Goodluck Jonathan. Hardship, civil servants go to work twice a week now. We move on to this day newspaper, and ExxonMobil unveils $10 billion deep water investment plan in Nigeria, and Shetima ecstatic about this. Economic recovery is imminent. This is according to the finance minister, Wale Edo. And Obagbena calls for whole of government approach to solving national security challenges. Nduka Obagbena is a media proprietor in Nigeria. Senate passes Southwest Development Commission Establishment Bill. And NATI releases 2-year oil gas report. It says sector owes federal government over $6 billion. Energy transition. Ex-minister urges Nigeria to build more hydropower and solar plants. Federal government to ensure energy security, says NDPHC boss. And Oyetola says investment in facility upgrade will ensure safe shipping and port efficiency. Mba comments prompt services at Enugu UK Visa Center. Sanwo-Olu says we will ensure food security for all Lagosians. Local government autonomy, minimum wage implementation top agenda as the House of Reps resume plenary. Fubara gives signs to leave PDP. All right, those are the stories we can take on the front pages of the papers today. We will take a short break, and when we return, the program will commence its second phase, and in-house analyst is already in the studio. Please don't go away. It's newspaper review, Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja.
Of our dream, Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Your problem is my problem, and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Yeah. Your problem is my problem, and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Wake up. Reach out. Speak up. Speak out. You are the voice of a new generation. And this is your station. Talk Radio 93.7 Citizen FM.
The issues.
Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president.
Theory behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retire without a roof over his head.
The cause.
If we cannot trust you, then you cannot take the ticket of this country. Hussein cannot be divulged from those who cause the crime. Honestly.
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
Why are you so concerned about that? He said money was.
I never.
No.
The platform is always the same.
Insight on Citizen FM 93.7.
The source is constant.
My name is Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow, Insight returns with another interesting.
Insight with Lawrence Umoite on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. Be part of the experience.
Oya my people, make una come gather here. Which kind tori una wan hear on top radio? Wetin dey catch fire on top social media? Bring am on top Make We Talk Am for Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja every Monday go reach Thursday, and the time na 5:10 wey be 10 minutes after 5. Make we talk am as e dey be.
Did you miss out on the news during the week? Not to worry. Retrospect is here to make up for the missed information. Retrospect is a complete package of all the major news headlines that made the airwaves from Sunday to Saturday. Join me, Esther Nwusu, on the program Retrospect on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja every Sunday at 6 p.m. Retrospect. We keep you informed.
Need a lift? Feeling low, bored, or confused?
Want your dream to brightly glow?
Here is what to do.
Women's Corner is waiting just for you.
Education, work, lifestyle, career, mentorship, and family too.
We will tackle the issues, provide solutions, and see you through. Finding your voice, reaching high, and making an impact. Women's Corner, where knowledge can fly.
Join us every Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. for inspiring stories and practical advice to reach all your glories. It's Women's Corner on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja.
Woman don't suffer, lower everybody. Suffer, suffer, enjoy forever.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's still Newspaper Review on Citizen 93.7 FM here in Abuja. Welcome to the second half of the show. And my in-house analyst is seated, Mr. Salmon Salami. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to you, Mr. Lawrence Umoiti.
Yes, Mr. Salami is the Chief Operating Officer, Citizen 93.7 FM, and is also our dedicated in-house analyst. Once again, welcome to the show, Mr. Salami.
It's always a pleasure being here.
All right, we start off with the Punch newspaper. 70,000 naira minimum wage. Federal government begins payments as salaries rise to 4 trillion naira. And 7 months after it began negotiation that ended with 70,000 naira as a new minimum wage, the federal government on Thursday began payment of the new salary and its consequential adjustment to public servants across all levels of the federal civil service. This means 1.2 million civil servants on the payroll of the federal government will be paid the newly approved minimum wage in September. A warrant for this month's salary signed by the Accountant General of the Federation and addressed to the Budget Office of the Federation directed the commencement of the new payment. Mr. Salami, this seems to be the climax of months of negotiations and everything.
Well, we congratulate the federal government workers because there is the need to break this thing down, this news down, in such a way that people will understand exactly what is going on. The payment of the 70,000 is to the federal government workers. It's left for the states to start the payment in their respective states. But the law is no Nigerian worker should be paid anything less than 70,000. That is the law. Now, kudos to the federal government and congratulations to the Nigerian workers, as it were. But let us look at the implication that salary and the consequential adjustments has risen to 4 trillion naira. Is it sustainable? What is we address this? This is why our good brother Tunji Bello should watch out, because there will be astronomical increase in the price of goods and, if possible, services. Government means well, but let us be alive to the unintended consequence of the increase in salary. And again, the states too should brace up and pay the minimum wage. That is the least. That is what I will say on this for now, because it has implication, very grave implication.
Oh, well, Mr. Salami, I think these implications were all well known before today. This was some of the things that formed the basis for the agreement and the negotiations and the argument during the build-up to the agreement. So it's something that should have been foreseen if it was not foreseen, but it should have been before now. Already, I think we have passed that stage. Whatever we say now will be like an academic exercise. The government should have known that if you increase, this is going to happen. The labor leaders too would have known. The economists, the government team, they have a lot of experts in their team, so they should have seen ahead of this, and it's too late in the day to say the consequences are going to be there. It's something that elementary economics would tell you at the end of the day. But then there are always ways out of this. A lot of people have said, despite the increase, we are talking about 4 trillion naira increase here. It's not an unsurmountable problem for the country as a whole. If we can do what needs to be done, cut our lifestyle, block leakages, check corruption, enhance efficiency, and so many other things, we can always go through this at the end of the day. So, well, just like you said, congratulations, but well, is it really congratulations? Because if you look at the effects of the inflation going on, and I'm sure that when both parties agreed, that was a few months ago on the 70,000 naira, the value of the 70,000 naira then and now may not be the same, but that's the way it is. We always have to take a look at issues and solve problems instead of us to just go into our shell and start grumbling. That's what leaders are elected to do. That's what people need to do. Solve problems, where problems will always come at the end of the day. But it's just starting today. Mr. Salami, I join you in urging the states to also follow suit, the local governments to also follow suit, and also the private sector, especially the big companies who are making millions of profits. They do not have excuses. Well, we are not talking about those very small startup companies that are trying to survive, but we are talking about those big companies in the private sector, the construction giants, the banking giants, and so many of them, telecom, so many of them, they don't have any excuse not to pay this. And besides, no excuse is even tenable because it's the law of the land at the end of the day.
Let me quickly ask a question. What happens to the small companies that, as we speak, pay less than 30,000?
Well, exactly. Good question. Good question. The answer is in the air. What happens to them? But I also know that the law is not absolute, because there are some provisions. There are some companies that are excluded from this, and it depends on the number of staff you employ. I'm not very certain about that particular number, but as at the particular time, it was if you have less than 25 people in your payroll, you were exempted from paying. But I don't know that now. We will check up on that and inform our listeners accordingly. But that's why I said I was talking about the big companies who have hundreds or thousands of staff in their payroll. No excuse for this. Well, let's move on to another story, still staying with the Punch newspaper. Nigeria to slash food imports, boost agricultural self-efficiency. And Nigeria is set to drastically reduce its dependence on food imports, according to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, who outlined a bold strategy to boost domestic agricultural production and increase food security. As the minister spoke at a press conference in Abuja, declared that the era of heavy food importation must end, positioning this shift as a cornerstone of government's economic recovery plan. Mr. Salami.
Honestly, it is a big shame that we still import food, let alone heavy food importation. We need to be precise about what we are doing and what we want to do. Food importation in itself and by itself is not good, let alone heavy food importation. And I want to say that if we are really sincere and serious about food security, we have almost all it takes to feed ourselves. The
lands are so arable and fertile that Nigeria can feed herself. If at all we need to import, it should be minimal, because I recognize the fact that no country is self-dependent. There is, to a large extent, interdependence on almost everything. But then, to now rely heavily on food importation, to the extent that we have realized it and now say, oh, every food importation, there is need for us to do something about it. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Lawrence, what are we doing without the land? There is the need for us to now go back to the soil and embark on massive agriculture. Not necessarily, not mechanized again. Agric is now agrobusiness. It is not the, in fact, nobody talks about and Cutlass. I'm not sure if they are still selling it. Nobody talks about even tractor. Because the mechanized agriculture used to be, but the level has changed. The whole world has moved to the next level. It's now agribusiness in such a manner that quite a few people will produce what a whole nation will feed on. Science has come to our rescue in such a way that they have redefined agriculture. Why are we still lagging behind? And every now and then we keep on pumping money. Anchor borrower, anchor lender. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. And I want the Federal Ministry of Agric and in fact the Honorable Minister of Agric. We know what Wike is doing. We need somebody to tell us what the Honorable Minister of Agric has been doing. Thank God that the federal government is thinking of tinkering with the cabinet. I'm not suggesting that some people should be spared.
All right, you can join the conversation. The phone lines are open now. Call us on 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. You can also be part of this show by sending us a message on WhatsApp or even calling us on WhatsApp. We will react to any of the questions or opinions that you raise on this show. And Mr. Sam, before we go on to other stories, yes, I was talking about the exemptions of some categories of minimum wage. Here is some part of the regulation here. It says minimum wage laws usually do not cover all classes of workers. The law will specify its scope of the average. In Nigeria, the Act covers workers engaged in manual labor or clerical work. The Act does not apply to employees of established employment on part-time, commission, or piece rate basis. Establishment with less than 25 employees and workers in seasonal employment like agriculture. Those employed in vessels or aircraft who are covered by merchant shipping or civil aviation laws and any other class which the Minister of Labor and Employment may exempt from this application. So here we have, it's not a blanket kind of law, especially that aspect that has to protect, because this is done to protect very small businesses that are yet to find their feet.
It has always been the case. To every rule, there must be exceptions. And if these are the exceptions, so be it.
All right, Mr. Salami, let's move on to this story. Federal government probing bandit sponsors. This is according to the Defense Headquarters. The Defense Headquarters said investigations are actively underway into allegations of banditry sponsorship in the Northwest region. The DHQ's Director of Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed this on Thursday at a press briefing, affirming that relevant agencies tasked with such responsibilities were diligently investigating the matter. The development comes on the heels of accusation and counter-accusations between the Minister of State for Defense and immediate past governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, and its successor, Dauda Lawal, over banditry sponsorship. Mr. Salami, you see, this for me is a very touchy issue because of the stakes. The stakes are high. One, we have a crop of dedicated army officers and men who daily prosecute this war. A lot of them pay the supreme price in the process. Two, as a nation, we have spent so much resources in prosecuting this insurgency war. And so if we now have people who, under whatever guise, try to frustrate that, try to compromise that, then they need to be fished out. The federal government needs to muster enough political will to drag out this, if not for anything, just to protect that image and say, okay, this is just to salute the job of our officers and men.
Well, the federal government is trying to fish out the banditry sponsors, meaning those who finance banditry. To start it with, why will a normal or reasonable person finance banditry? Is banditry, is it now a business?
Well, for some
is it now a venture? Is it now commerce? Clearly, it has become commerce. And I want to believe that people are profiting from it. It is a big business now. And I think this should not be. It is abnormal that people will now turn a vice into a money-making venture. And I think the earlier the government goes after those involved, the better for this country. Like you rightly pointed out, quite many soldiers have paid the price, and quite many of them are still in the theater of war for as long as 1 year, 2 years. Quite many of them have not seen their family in the last 1 year or two. And we think this is good. And just as they are trying to ensure that peace prevails, some merchants of death, some unconscionable Nigerians, people who do not wish this country well, are busy pumping money into this nefarious act in such a manner that the country, to say the least, is unsafe. Quite many of us always think twice before we embark on a journey to Gusau, before we embark a journey to Sokoto, not even to talk of Katsina. Why should this be? And it's not as if the government is not doing all it should do. Just as the government is trying to overcome and decimate the bandits, the merchants of death, keep on pumping money, humongous amount of money. Lawrence, do you know how much they sell AK-47? Is it what an Almajiri can afford or could afford? Honestly, I think government should be decisive about this. And they should spare nobody.
Exactly.
They should leave no stone unturned in dealing decisively with these merchants of death.
Exactly, I completely agree with you, Mr. Salami, because it really, really doesn't make sense. On one hand, it's like somebody who is trying to fill up a bucket that is leaking. All your efforts will turn out to be futile at the end, no matter the amount of water you pour into that bucket, it's leaking. So you continue pouring, and you've not made any progress. It beats my heart when I see the crop of very intelligent army officers and men daily. You understand? As you said, a lot of them, apart from the physical death that a lot of them go through, the psychological trauma of members of their families, the children, the wives, the husbands, every day. These are things that we don't see. These are things that happen in the background. Yet, people stay because of political motives, because of business or financial incentives, decide to say this war must continue to be prolonged. Or you want to bring down a government, or you want to give a government a bad name. Different kinds of interest in it at the end of the day. Just compromise the lives of people. Mr. Salami, you know what it takes to train one officer, especially through the Defense Academy, and even after the Defense Academy, several courses across the country. Such an officer rises through the ranks and everything, only for him to be cut short, because a lot of our brave officers leading their men are because of the system is compromised. Some of them are cut down in their prime. This is disheartening.
Very, very pouring water into a leaking bucket. I think we should stop pouring water into a bucket that we know that is leaking. Let's first fix
the leakage. Or get a new bucket.
I believe so, because if we insist on pouring water in a leaking bucket,
that's all you would do
throughout your life.
Sad. But as we leave this, we use this opportunity to appreciate our officers and men, right from the soldiers to the officers and to their leaders, service chiefs, and their leader, the Chief of Defense Staff, as always, for giving us that hope and encouragement that, yes, we have a crop of officers and men who daily toil to keep this nation safe. Even though some people don't appreciate them, we as journalists, we appreciate them because we know what our officers and men are doing across the country. I think about 35 states that we have active operations being led by officers and men of the Nigerian military. This is saying don't give up, right from the Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa. We always appreciate you. We appreciate your other colleagues, the service chiefs, for all this you do.
Lawrence, simply because we know, that is why we are giving kudos to them. Those who do not know may not appreciate what they have been doing. Look at the press conference held yesterday by General Edward Buba. Where he listed the activities and the achievements in all the operations going on throughout the country, be it Operation Adinkai, be it Safe Haven in Jos, in Plateau State, be and look at the quantum of money and the human capital resources that has gone into it. Friends, some of us who are privileged to know them and be close to them, keep on asking, do they sleep at all? If you care if you care to pick your phone around 2 a.m. and go to what they call WhatsApp, you see General Musa still online. Then you begin to wonder that, does he sleep at all? There was a day we asked him that, sir, I hope Madam is still with you. He said that she has learned to bear with him. That is the sacrifice. But why is it that some people will be sacrificing for this country, and what others will be doing is to be financing banditry? It's sickening, Lawrence. And I think whoever and those who are involved in this act of financing banditry should not only be fished out, but they should be dealt with decisively.
Yes, that's the way to go, Mr. Salami. Let's move on to some other stories. The Guardian newspaper now, October 1, Federal government orders low-key anniversary, cites national hardship. The federal government has, the federal government has ordered that the Nigeria's 64th independent anniversary celebration should be low-key in reflection of the widespread hardship in the country. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, disclosed this at a press briefing in Abuja yesterday. The theme for this year's independence anniversary, according to him, is reflecting on the past, inspiring the future. And he says the president of Nigeria has said it should be low-keyed. Yes, and this government is very much aware of the deeply sympathizes with all Nigerians over the economic conditions we are passing through. Akume attributed the economic challenges to unavoidable policy choices, including the removal of fuel subsidies and the administration had to make. He, however, said that notwithstanding daunting challenges, efforts were being made to cushion the immediate impact and to create opportunities on the short and long-term basis. Mr. Salami.
Let us thank God for little mercies. If you ask me, there should even be no independence anniversary. Let alone talking about low-key. The truth is that the situation now, as we speak, does not call for any celebration. And most Nigerians know that the country is not smiling at all. Yes, we appreciate the fact that the government is sensitive and alive to the goings on in the country. But this is what I call a half measure, which is better than no measure at all. But let's go the whole hog. It's not too late. There is no need for us to celebrate anything, at least for this year. The hardship in the land is real. Nigerians are suffering. What are we celebrating? Must we celebrate? Yes, October 1 is our independence anniversary. Everybody knows. The money to be squandered again on this 24th anniversary should go into other useful ventures. There is nothing, virtually nothing, for us to celebrate. We thank God that we are alive. We thank God that the government is fixing things. We thank God that Mr. President is alive to his responsibilities. And according to him, he feels our pains. Yes, he does. For this year, let us keep it. Let good reasoning prevail.
All right, let's move on to this story here. It says, despite significant, the headline here says, stolen crude, IOC's indebtedness to FG hits $7 billion. Despite significant reduction, the amount of crude oil stolen from Nigeria and unpaid taxes and royalties by the international oil companies stand at about $7 billion. Disclosing this yesterday in Abuja, the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative said oil and gas companies in the country owed the federal government over $6 billion and 666 billion naira in taxes and royalties. This comes as the federal government revealed that ExxonMobil is planning to invest about $10 billion in the country's deep water oil operation. And NATI also disclosed that Nigeria imported 23 billion liters of premium motor spirit in 2022 and that. But what we are interested in, Mr. Salami, is indebtedness of the IOCs. It looks as if these companies are...
Socomos Ceramos. I'm sorry to use this word on here. The child that is crying and the mom that is... I hope you are going with me.
Yeah, go on, we're following you.
The child that cries and the mother that is petting the child, they all know what they are doing.
Can any company be greater than the government? The government is so fast, and the government has all it takes to do or enforce whatever it intends to do. Lawrence, the more you look,
the less you see.
I don't want to say anything on the cabal that has held this country hostage for long. They are big players. They are the big boys. They determine who gets what, at what time, and at what price.
All right.
As you rightly pointed out, I want to agree with you that they are not only untouchable, but they are unmovable.
All right. Okay.
This is sad.
Let's hope and see for how long that will last. The Tribune newspaper here says 6 years after of a bank robbery suspect sentenced to death by hanging. 6 years after the bloody bank robbery operation in the ancient town of Ofa in Kwara State, Justice Halima Salman of the Kwara State High Court sentenced 5 suspects in the case to death by hanging. The court held that the convicts robbed and killed innocent citizens, including 9 police officers in Ofa, during the bloody attack. It recalled that the judgment was meant to be delivered on August 2nd, but was put forward because of the August nationwide protest. It was reported that Michael Adiku, the leader of the robbery attack, died in police custody, while the remaining 5 pleaded not guilty in the court. The remaining 5 suspects standing trial were present in court yesterday. Mr. Salami, I'm sure you remember that incident. About how many years ago now? About 6 years. 6 years ago.
Yes.
2018.
Slowly but surely, the long arm of the law will always catch up with the wrongdoers. When I read that judgment yesterday, after it was delivered by Justice Alimas Zalman, and you know my name is Zalman Salami, I said, kudos, your lordship, for being brave and courageous and thorough. You see, I have been saying it that crime does not pay. Crime is not the way to go. And it's sad that our children always look for the shortcuts. And there is no shortcut to success. Any success that is predicated on shortcut will, like the flood, does not last. We vaporize. The flood of this morning does not last till afternoon. So the way to go is to ensure that you imbibe the virtue of hard work, the virtue of perseverance, and the fear of God, believing that God will bless my work. But if you think that you are smart, good to be smart in the positive way. But if you think that, yes, cutting corners is the way out, because there is a new trend now, hard work does not pay, but smart work. Some idiots will even tell you that any work that makes you to sweat is no work. It's not the kind of work that will lead you to the promised land. I disagree. Lawrence, there is no alternative to hard work. Yes, you may do it smartly, but if you think that a work that should take 7 hours, you can do it within 30 minutes and get a better result, well and good. But if you feel that you don't even need to work at all,
but it's just to sit down in the comfort of your room and start scheming, or to think that if you carry some powdery substance that you can beat the eagle eye of the NDLEA. And even if you have succeeded and you still continue, definitely Nemesis will catch up with you.
Yeah, it's fortunate that justice has been served, but unfortunate that that robbery incident cost a lot of lives, including brave police officers who were cut down in their prime during that time. So, but let's see how it goes, because from the report yesterday, the convicts are saying that they are going to appeal the judgment. But so we'll be following the development. Mr. Salami, before we go, there's a sad story that I deliberately left for the last. The Akwa Ibom State Governor losing his wife, and it's in virtually all the papers today. The story broke yesterday, but early this morning it started coming out in the media. Akwa Ibom Governor loses wife. Patience Umoino, wife of the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Pastor Umoino, is dead. The Commissioner for Information, Ini Ememebo, announced the First Lady's death in a statement titled Unexpected Sunset in the early hours of Friday. According to the Commissioner, she died at the hospital on Thursday in the presence of family members after a brief illness. This is a sad one, and we join others in praying for the repose of her soul, and also that God should also console the governor, members of his immediate family.
I read it in the night and sent it to your WhatsApp, but deleted it, realizing that this is not the way to wake up a hard-working staff. May the soul of Pastor Mrs. Patience Umoino rest in perfect peace.
We say amen to that. So, that's our package on Insight today. Mr. Salman Salami, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure being here on a daily basis.
All right, I hope I've earned myself a very delicious breakfast this morning. I trust my boss. It's a Friday, and he's always very diligent when it comes to issues like that. Thank you so much, COO, Citizen 93.7 FM, Mr. Salman Salami.
It's a pleasure.
All right, that's our package on Insight today, and the program returns on Monday with another edition. My name is Lawrence Somosi. Enjoy the rest of your day, and happy weekend.